your seat, light it up, let's unwind. Kevin and Kerr bringing topics of all kinds, from cigars to sports, family and more. Everyday stories you'll want to explore. So take a puff or ponder away. Join the talk, it's the highlight of your day. Puff and ponder where the sparks ignite. Conversations blazing day or night. Tune in now, let the stories take flight. It's the Puff and Ponder podcast, where we get it right. From fast cars to last night's game, family laughs or today's big name. We've got the topics, we've got the vibe. Stay tuned in and enjoy the ride. So lean back, relax, take a break. Kevin and Kerr got the chat you'll appreciate. Puff and Ponder, the show that's great, where conversations ignite. Don't hesitate.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Puff and Ponder podcast, where conversations ignite. I'm your host, Kevin from Cigar Prop. Joining me, as always, my co-host, Kerr Viajante of Stogie Road Cigars. What's going on?
Well, what's good? How you doing, man?
Tired, Kerr. Tired.
Yeah, I'm pretty beat myself.
Yeah, I don't even know how many days in a row this is. 14, 15, something like that. I think I go 20 because we're closed on the 4th of July this week. So I think I go 22 or 23 in a row.
No shit.
Something like that before my day off. Actually, I have a whole weekend off, Saturday and Sunday. They don't know I'm not coming in Sunday. I'm scheduled off, and I'm not coming in.
Then why would they not know you're not coming in when you're off? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, because I was off today on the schedule, but I came in just because we didn't have anybody because there's only two mechanics in the shop now. The back shop, we call it the back shop where the mechanics are, then the front shop where the sales are. So yeah, it's just two of us, me and Eric. That's it. So I got to work 7 days a week because we got a guy out still. Then the last of the new kids, he quit. Halfway through a tire rotation, set his tools down and left, and then called up and said he wanted to transfer to another store because I wasn't letting him do the work that he feels like he's better or he's more capable than the work that we're giving him. And we're basically like underutilizing him, and he can't stand to be at the shop. He didn't like me and the way I handled him. And so our area manager called. They're like, he's capable of doing more. He quit halfway through a tire rotation. He had to move them from the front to the back. I don't know what else he, what more he's qualified to do than to move the tires from the front to the back, and you got frustrated and you left.
Maybe he got bored, Kevin. Maybe he's so talented that he got bored with the rotating of tires from the front to the back, and midway said, you know what? I am made for more than front to back work.
Yeah, so we transferred him. I don't know if it was it like this in Enterprise, because that was like really the only chain I think that you worked that I can recall. So you had different offices. Was there like an office like we have a store? Like if we don't like you and like we need you to leave the company, but we really can't like fire you. Like there's a store that you're like, oh, this store is gonna it's gonna chew you up and spit you out. Did you have that like an Enterprise? Like, oh hey, Sandy's not working out. Send him to Dave's store.
It's funny. I'll tell you what. The car sale department was one of those situations where these companies they're very big on promoting their problems away too, right? That's the other thing. That's a bad habit. Promote your problems away. It's like, listen, unless they're a huge schlep, they promote their problems away. But at the end, when you had some folks who who were around for a while, and they needed thing. They needed to move them on. They would move them into the car sale. And what's funny about that is I started the car sale division with
Yeah.
another guy. So I was in the retail car. We started it. So at some point, they were using it as this pivot to pivot people out, and we are
Yeah.
like, whoa, time out for a second here. Like we're kind of a real deal here on the
Yeah.
retail end, but and that was actually eventually, that and money was one of the reasons why I left is other divisions of our company because we had groups, and other groups had car lots. They supported they were like they had very successful, very well run retail establishments, and we were like, the guy who was our GM didn't want to didn't want to put the money into it. He liked selling cars wholesale. He didn't want to upset the dealerships who were buying cars from us. So he didn't want to take it serious. And I just got sick of it. And I said, look, man, you guys, our growth is just a push. But to answer your question, that was it. It was the car sale.
Your division. You got the we call it transfiring. Yeah, we call it transfiring people. We'll just transfer you. Hey, there's another store about 30 miles away. Like that's your new store. Oh, you don't want to go? I mean, you can quit if you want. I mean, that's your prerogative if you don't want to go to your new home.
Yeah. I mean that. Yeah. It's like you said, transfiring. You transfer. I've been with companies too, other companies and some pharma companies that they'll promote their problems away. It's you gotta find a way to find a spot for them.
Yeah.
So, that's the way things are. It's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's just we had a one of my Napa salesmen was in today, and we were just talking and just talking about the kids, and he sees it too, and just how these we've talked about it before, but how just we're not raising men anymore, and he's a transplant from Canada, and while he was waiting for he married an American woman, so while he was waiting for his citizenship and everything to go through, he said I couldn't get a job legally, so I just did everything under the sun, under the table, I just worked 7 days a week. And he goes, because that's just what you do to support your family. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, the last kid, a newborn baby, and he couldn't come to work. We offered him an Uber.
Oh,
to
come, that. Yeah.
So, these, it's just, there's nothing there anymore. It's just, even Jessica's, she's on me like every day. Why do you keep doing it? Why do you keep doing it? It's because what we do, it's the business. Oh, the business doesn't care about you. But at the same time, it's just not a reason for me to not care. It's just we just work, we push through, we do the job, then we fucking go home, then we do it again the next fucking day if we have to. If it's 7 days in a row, 22 days in a row, you just keep grinding. That's what you do. And then the money's really fucking good. Not gonna lie.
Well, that's always a tough one to give up, man. When you got the the golden on the golden handcuffs, right?
That's what it is. They get you on them checks. You're like, oh God, But at the end of the day, also, I do look at for every dollar extra I make because I'm working 7 days a week, I am losing probably 25 cents on my other businesses because I'm so far behind. I can't promote as much and can't, but at the end of the day, I'm still 75 cents ahead. So, but yeah, it's, but it's, I'm gonna lie, it's wearing on me, when this
eventually those two things kind of collide, man. And that you're going to get to the point, Kevin, where the amount of, the amount that you said is 75 cents down more.
Yeah.
You're going to get to the point where that amount isn't going to matter.
Yeah, it's getting real close to that, and Jessica's just afraid, because the grind, and she sees how tired I am at the end of the day, and she's just afraid of me getting injured. Just either losing my focus for a second and then something happening.
Yeah.
Or, like I said, it's, my knee injury I'm still dealing with and it's getting worse. And then, my shoulder injury and, back, I wear more fucking braces, than any one person. I wear a lot of braces to work, and then I have my bedtime braces where I gotta wear them to bed, just so I can get up in the morning. And I take my bed braces off and put on my work braces.
Like the old man.
So I know. So she just
bedtime braces.
Yeah, she just doesn't, and she also just doesn't want me to be your typical broken mechanic, at the end of the day, 60 years old, retiring. And like, oh, hey, we can't do anything because I'm in a wheelchair.
So that's very thoughtful of her. And
yeah,
that she doesn't want to be pushing you around in a wheelchair.
Yes, I think that's more selfish of her, but yeah.
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
So I may have implied it, but I didn't say it. But I mean, I hear you, dude. It's tough, man. I mean, especially when you start getting to the age where you're like, okay, here's retirement. What does retirement look like? Is it serious? Can I do it? And then, like you said, when you get to the point where you're like, okay, my body can't do this anymore, then what are you left with? Well, now you're left with a lot of decisions to make, and they become. You get to the point where your decisions that you need to make. You have less decisions because of the situation you're in.
Yes.
So you got to put yourself in a better position so you can make the ideal decision when you still have kind of a leg up, if you will.
Yeah. I just wish Altadis would come in and be my new business daddy and help me make those decisions.
I think that'd be fantastic, man.
Yeah,
I'm biased. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Come to the cigar shop.
That's it.
But maybe you ought to talk to your boy Matt Booth and say, "Hey, Boothy,
Yeah, he called me up the other day and cheered me up, and it was just a busy day at work, and he just out of the blue randomly called me, made me laugh. So which he's always good for.
So you go, folks. The only time Kevin will take a call is if it's Matt Booth.
Yeah. I don't like taking a lot of calls like this. Like this could be a text, but not Matt. Matt, we don't text. We just
yeah,
that's it. So what are you smoking tonight, Kerr?
I'm smoking a West Tampa Chef Rick.
Oh, right on. I've got some of the crabs, the whatever crab cakes or devil crab. I haven't smoked one yet. I need to get that.
Good.
I need to, and it's that. Oh, and I'm smoking. I'm starting on a Drew Estate 20-acre farm. I'm probably going to move on to, I don't know which Herrera Esteli that I want, the Brazilian or the whatever that white band is. That's my next one. News, that's in honor of Glenn Wolfson, a CEO of Drew Estate Cigar, getting ready to retire this year. Passes away last night. So hats off to Glenn.
Going back off to your original comment, right? Your original conversation is you don't want to get to the point where you get ready to retire, and then
that's it. Yeah, that's it. So what were we talking about before
Matt Booth making you happy?
Oh yeah, make me mad. Yeah, he just made me smile. So that's always good. That's the one where I'll stop working and be like, customer can wait a few extra minutes. I'm taking this call. That and when the president of our company, and Steve Saka. So Steve Saka, Matt Booth, and then when the president of our company calls, like he'll send me a text. Hey, you got a second? Yeah, I kind of have to have a second, don't I? So yeah.
So that's your top three. Where would I fall into that? Am I like 5th, 8th, 7th?
Well, if you called me, I said I would answer right away because we don't talk on the phone. So
right.
It's like
it'd be an emergency.
Yeah. Like what happened? Like there are people that I know. Like I used to have friends that I just stopped answering their calls and their text messages because they would just call like once every 6 months. And I just heard from a guy that I haven't talked to in 5 years. Me and his son were great friends, and he's a good guy too. but it's always you pick up the phone and like, oh, hey, what's going on? Oh man, let me tell you what I got going on with the car. Oh, hey, yeah, it's good to talk with you again too. It's been 5 years, but yeah, let's just dive right into the fucking car talk, or it's like, or it's been 6 months, hey, I got this noise, does it sound like go fuck yourself? Because that's what it sounds like to me. So,
hey, Kev, how you doing? Hey, man, I know it's been a while since we had a good conversation, since we've spoken. How you doing? How's the family? Oh, everything's fine. Hey, listen, the car.
Yeah.
When I started.
Yeah.
You're like, what? Well, really? You
didn't
even let you. Probably those folks that don't even let you finish your answer before they're asking a question.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I don't mean to interrupt you, Kevin, but I'm kind of in a hurry here. How are you?
Yeah,
How are you
I'm in
now?
a hurry. Yeah.
Are you now? That reminds me. So I don't know. Some people may have seen my Instagram post about my little rant on Saturday. So I'll expand on this rant that I had because I didn't have enough room and I didn't want to make a video on it because someone could have found it and then my boss's boss would have seen it. So get a second Saturday in a row, I'm by myself in a busy shop.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm running all 8 bays myself. So it's hot out. So the front staff, they like to stay in the air conditioning. They don't like to come out. Like they'll look through the window. If I hang something up, like, hey, this car needs an alignment, it's all checked out. They'll knock on the window, and then when I look over, they just give me the thumbs up. Like, go ahead and do that. I'm like, oh, you couldn't just come outside and tell me that, could you? Because it's hot out here. So I pulled this lady's Lexus in. Simple oil change, tire rotation. And so as soon as I get into it, I notice there's like a wire hanging down underneath the dashboard. It's like the OBD2 dongle where you plug in and scan the check engine light. Like something's just dangling. I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like, whatever. Not my car, not my problem. It's here for an oil change. So I end up selling her some brakes. And then it has electronic rear caliper. So now I gotta plug into the OBD2 port to like scan it. I'm like, all right, she's buying brakes. I'll spend a few minutes and try and tuck this fucking wire, up underneath the dash where it goes. Cause it's like some weird aftermarket wire.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't get it tucked up underneath there because it was plugged into this weird box. And every time I tried to tuck it away, it just kept unplugging from the box. And I'm like, all right, now I know why someone just left it dangling here. There's not enough wire to plug it in and hide it. So I'm like, whatever, it can just leave the exact same way it came in, wire dangling. So finish up the job. Boss man comes out about 10 minutes later. Hey, that lady called with the Lexus. She says there's some weird wire dangling underneath of her car now, underneath the dash. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I noticed that. I did try and fix it, but like I said, like I told you, it wasn't happening. So I just left it dangling. Well, she's on her way back. All right, I'll handle it. It's like, I'll do that part of the job too. So she comes back, pulls up behind my bay, and she gets out. There's a wire. I go, I know, ma'am. I'm real nice. The salesman comes out. He's out there with me. I'm like, yeah, I know. I noticed it when I pulled it in, and she's like, it wasn't like that. Before. I go, well, I did notice it. It was like that. I did try and tuck it underneath there, but it goes into some weird aftermarket box. I don't know if it's an aftermarket alarm, what it is, but so she's like, no, it wasn't like that. She goes, I don't know what you're trying to pull here. And I go, I go, ma'am, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I don't want any money. I didn't do work under your dash. And I go, I have no reason to like pull something down and just let it dangle. And she just kept going. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. I don't know what you're trying to do. And then she finally, so after that, after like the last one, and I go, okay, I'll take care of it. I reach under the dash and I rip it out. And then I shoved it behind the floor mat. And I go, there you go. All set. You don't see it anymore. That was my solution. And she goes, you know what? I'm just tired and you can go fuck yourself. And I go, oh, you're tired. And then at that point, afterwards, Chase goes, who, when she said that, I knew she was in for it. And I go, "Oh, you're tired? You're tired." I go, "It's Saturday. It's 100 degrees out here. I'm working by myself." And I go, "And I've worked by myself every day for the last week and a half. So you're tired?" I go, "You don't know what fucking tired is." And I go, "You can go fuck yourself." And so she got in her car, she parked, went inside. She was crying to the manager, and all this, and her husband. And I know her husband died because I worked on her car before, just recently passed, like 6 months ago. So I was trying to be real nice because I knew, that, what she was going through.
Right.
And then when, but the manager did ask, he's like, "Who dropped the F-bomb first?" And she goes, "Well, I did, but he was being rude." And he's like, "Well, it's hot out there. You probably shouldn't have tested his patience, So, and me of all people, like I'm the most honest guy in the fucking shop, so. But
Well,
yeah, so she was crying. So he came out and she was inside, and he's like waving his arms, and he's like, "I have to make it look like I'm yelling at you, and you can't be doing that." And he's doing that whole thing. I'm trying not to laugh at this, so
yeah,
he went back.
Hilarious.
Yeah. So yeah, it was but yeah. But yeah, the other guy's like, "Who? I knew it as soon as she told you to go fuck yourself." And I go, I just lost it. I go, it's just too many days in a row. It was too hot. It was too late in the day. Early in the morning, I'd have let it slide. 2:00 in the afternoon, I'm drenched. I'm busy. I don't have time for this nonsense. That's the wrong time of the day.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. I mean, listen, dude. I think some folks, I get and I can understand when you get to the point where you just want to tell someone to go fuck themselves. I get it, but it's just not appropriate, especially in that situation. I mean, I'm sorry. I just
because you know how it's gonna. It just escalates instantly from there.
It does.
And
I mean, because at that point, it's like you said, who said fuck first? Who dropped the F-bomb first, right? And when you have an environment like that that's hot, humid, freaking working, she thinks you're being freaking rude because realistically, she's just being impossible to an impossible person. You're still trying to maintain your composure while they're being impossible. Then they drop the old "fu." Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, and it's uncalled. And I've been yelled at before, and you just let it go.
Yeah.
And it's but like 99% of the time you just let it go. Usually, it's only once or twice a year. And I deal with a lot of customers. I mean, I deal with thousands of customers a year. So so for one or two, I think they can cut me some slack on that one, but and it's just it's the environment today. And I had like one of my tech rant videos a while ago, and I don't know what happened to the older generation that thought it was that has now thinks that it's appropriate to talk to anybody any way they want. Now, when you were like 100, you get to say whatever you want. Like, you can be rude. You're like, "Oh, I'm 100. I'm old, whatever, but it's just this, it's this generation of these, like, these people in the 60 to 75 range that just think it's okay. I don't know if it's the TikTok thing or if it's just, I'll just because we used to call it the Walmart effect. If you would just complain, you'd get what you want for free because that's what happens. Because that's what happens at Walmart.
Enterprises like that, yeah.
So and it's just they just start getting mad and they just start yelling and being belligerent in hopes that someone will be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Let us take care of that service for you, today." And it's just like, better. You grew up in a different time where this was not acceptable, and now it's just. Now, I'm all for it.
I have a theory. I didn't want to interrupt you, but keep going.
No, that's it. Just I don't know what happened.
I think, and because I'm on that cusp right now, right? I'm gonna be this year, and I think what it is people in my generation and even older, like you said, you got your 67. Um, what happens is they remember working and providing good service, being professional, caring about your job, no matter what you did. Most of us growing up and working in high school, we worked fast food. And look, I never claimed that when I was during my fad I was like perfect, but I worked for a manager who gave a shit. I worked for our VP, the guy who was the general manager gave a shit. We worked hard. We played hard, but we worked hard. We had good service, made sure people got their food hot and stuff like that. I think now they're starting to come into this generation where they're starting to go out and they're receiving service from people who gives zero shits about anything. They don't care. They're not polite. They freaking don't understand good customer service. And most of the times, and I learned this at Enterprise Rent a Car because that was like the place where if someone complained, you gave them free shit. 90% of the problems are usually resolved if you just say, Kevin, you know what? I am so sorry that happened. And you know what? Let me see what can I do to help you? What can I do to make things better? Take responsibility.
Yeah.
Not, hey, Kevin, I'm sorry that, you dealt with this and it's our cook. Now it's always not my fault. It's that someone wanted to blame someone for something else. If you just apologize, you took responsibility, it diffuses everything. And the majority of the time, the person will be like, hey, you know what, dude, it's cool, man. I know things are busy. I appreciate it. Don't worry. No, I don't need anything. No, don't worry about 10% off or a free beer or whatever. The person then just doesn't want anything. Most of the times, if they're being genuine, they're not going to sit there and say, I want my meal free. I want this free. I want that free. But the problem is that you deal with people who just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
From fast food to restaurants to freaking everything else, to even when we bought our car. I mean, for crying out loud. I mean, it was like, you're just the professionalism, the work ethic, and just the overall interaction is at such a low that these people who remembered was like, I would have gotten my ass beat. I would have gotten fired if I would have talked to a customer like that. I would have gotten fired if I would have handed you and been like, hey, how you doing? Welcome, Bird King. What's up? What do you
Yeah.
want? What do you want? Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Okay, yeah. Here you go. Yeah. Oh, uh-huh. Yeah. Like I just think that they get so flustered and so fed up with it that it just comes out in freaking just frustration and anger.
Yeah, you're probably right. And no, and I always say, and I've said it in 100 of my videos. Nobody ever wants to go to a mechanic or a dentist because there's always something wrong. We're always trying to upsell you, the mechanic and the dentist. Two things. So yeah, I mean, you're probably right, and you're right about another thing. Like if you just own it. Some people like twice over the last like month and a half. I drink Bacardi and Diet. It's the only thing I drink. I know what Bacardi and Diet tastes like. I know when it's not. I know when it's not Diet Coke. So we're somewhere in and I got it. I'm like, this isn't Diet Coke, and I'm like, but it was the first drink. The waitress comes around after a few minutes, and then like Jessica said something like, hey, you ordered Diet Coke. It's not Diet. She's like, it's not. And I go, it's not. I go, but don't worry about it. I go, I'm really thirsty, so I'm gonna drink this one. And she's like, oh, I'll make sure we don't charge you for it. And I go, you'll do no such thing. I go, it's a drink. I'm gonna drink it. I go, it's fine. Just on the next one, just make sure it's Diet Coke. It's all, but she just went out. We'll take care of that right away. I'm like, it's not necessary. I'm gonna drink it. I'm thirsty anyways. I don't care. Make sure you charge me for it. Make sure the next one is correct. And when you go somewhere and they just own it, it was
own it. Just
and I've made mistakes as the biggest mistake we make as when we're doing brake jobs and we're turning the rotors back and forth to get to the bolts on the back side. Sometimes we'll bend that little the rotor splash shield, and it'll make a little bit of noise as you're driving, and as us mechanics, I don't know, we have a hard time hearing high pitched noises because we're all fucking going deaf. And so the customer will come back, hey, I hear a squeak after the break. And we're like, damn it. And we know what it is. And we'll, and I'll go, it's my mistake. I'm sorry. I'll explain what happened, or to the customer. I'm like, I just bent that shield. I just pushed it back a little bit. I apologize. And they're like, no worries. They're always, once you own it, something like that, you're like, don't worry about it. They're always happy. But, but also as mechanics, we hear the ever since you did my brakes, like my AC stopped working, or you changed my oil, now my tire's flat. So we hear that so much that when we get something that is completely out of anything we did, we go on the defensive, and it's like, oh, you're going to be this person. Oh, what's going on, John? Oh, it was, I was the last one to get in your car. So now, of course, I had to rip this wire out of the dash, and now it's dangling. It's like, just, I know you noticed it before, just say something that you want it fixed. Don't try and blame it on me after the fact, and then, but yeah. So
yeah, I that's my theory on it. I'm not saying that that's the answer or the reason or rationale for every single time this happens. I just find that, I just know myself when I get out there, it's like you get so frustrated. And then when you do have someone who's really good customer service, you just want to tip the shit out of them,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Taking care of them, because you're like, and then I'm sitting there thinking, you're the exception, not the rule, when that should be the case. It was always like everyone always gave really good. Yeah. Then there was always that extra level.
And now it's just either shit or it's good. I can't remember where Jessica and I was at, months ago. And we told the waitress when she came back, like we haven't had service like this in a really long time. Like, we really appreciate like what you did, like just above and beyond. And it's just like, this is unheard of, anymore. Cause we just get shit service everywhere, and it's just everybody's rude. Nobody wants to be at their job. I had to go to Walmart yesterday, and I had to pick up some distilled water for the humidor. And so I'm in the aisle with distilled water, and those people that do the shopping for Walmart. Germany's gone? Really?
Germany's gone.
Oh man. So yeah, so and those are the worst people because they're the rudest. And they won't get out of the way when they're doing that personal shopping. So I'm putting distilled water in my buggy, and this person was coming down the aisle, and the aisle was pretty busy, and I was blocking her apparent path. And I'm like, oh, now I get my revenge. So I just pulled one of the distilled waters from the shelf, and I just turned on the back, like reading all about the distilled water, FYI, there was only one ingredient in there, distilled water. But I took my time. I sat there for probably 45 seconds until, in a huff, she went around me. And I wanted to say, now you know what it's like. Yeah. Because personal shoppers is the reason I don't go to Walmart, because like I said, they don't give a fuck about their jobs.
Well, you can cut down on buying distilled water. You can make your own.
I heard that. I even watched a video once. So
I'm sorry. I mean, it's just it. Like
yeah, nobody wants to be nobody wants to be at their job anymore. It's
and the part that gets me is this whole circular logic, right? It's like, we got to pay these folks who work at fast food more money because you can't make a living. And then when you get shitty service, they're like, well, what do you expect? That's fast food. And I'm like, well, those two things don't go together, right? If you're telling me that you want to get paid a wage that is, that is equal to someone that you could say, I could make a living here and a career here, but yet you use the job that you're working at as the excuse for providing shitty service and not caring. It doesn't add up.
Yeah, and anybody that's ever said that, I've got friends that work in fast food, worked in fast food. You hear that, and if it was all the same, I'd understand. But I always throw the one thing back at them: why does Chick-fil-A do it different?
Chick-fil-A.
Why is everyone at Chick-fil-A? I don't care if they hate their jobs or not. You couldn't tell because
no.
they appear to love their jobs. They get great they give great customer service, and you just know when you go there, like you're not going to leave mad. Like every other fast food place, you're going to leave mad because they forgot something or they took too long. But that's my always. Why can Chick-fil-A do it?
Not only do they do it, but like you said, not only do they have great customer service, but they also have a system that is freaking, like, it is probably what it looked like when Henry Ford first put the freaking assembly line together. Like, you're just like, holy shit. Like, you pull into a Hardee's or an Arby's and you're like, this is a freaking goat rodeo. This is terrible. You pull in the Chick-fil-A and there's 50 cars and you're like, I'll be out of here within 8 minutes.
Jessica and I have been there. Like we'll pull in and we'll see 50 cars and then she'll be like, and I go, I remember it's Chick-fil-A. She's like, oh yeah. It's like, yeah. It's like Chick-fil-A.
I see 2 cars at freaking Sonic. I'm like, fuck them. They'll F this up big time. You pull up the Sonic and be like, listen, I'd like to have a hot dog and tater tots and a Diet Coke, and you don't. It's like, what? How do you F that up? There's only 2 cars in front of me, yet freaking you got Chick-fil-A down the road that literally it's like probably 10% of the freaking of the county is there right now. Yeah. And they ain't fucking shit up.
And I know once I round that corner, there could still be 6 or 8 cars in front of me.
Yep.
And I have to go around them because they'll come out. Kevin, that's me. And then like you just pull out a line and you go right around on your day. You 6 more cars in front of you. I'm already out and done.
Yeah. They've perfected it. And the one store that really has been getting it's so horrible is Starbucks.
Oh yeah.
Huh. I can't tell. I think I just recently I bought some drinks at Starbucks and that was with Jennifer. But just how do you F up a venti dark roast with skim milk?
Yeah, it seems pretty easy. I'm not a coffee guy. I'm pretty sure I can make that for you.
Yeah. And then they like to pour the coffee up to the very tippy top. They put the lid on, and they don't even put a stopper in unless you ask them to. And you're like, oh, really? So you're going to give me this freaking pulsating freaking lava, cup, of course, as it's pouring out of the freaking hole down onto my hand and giving me 3rd-degree burns on my thumb. I can see they fucked my order up because it's just completely black, dark coffee. Because I like a splash of skim milk. I like my coffee black, but whenever I order it out, or if Jennifer makes it, I put in a splash of milk because it breaks the acidity up.
Yeah.
Because if you make it too strong, it's too acidic. People think, oh, you put in more beans, it makes it stronger. No, it just makes it more acidic. It just makes it, ugh. So I always ask for a splash of milk, and it's burning my hand, and I'm like, they screwed up my order. I know they did. But just, I've never seen a more confused group of like, you know what it is too? I'm going to sound like a grumpy old man because Jennifer's a violator of this one. And this is what's pathetic. It's the mobile orders.
Yeah.
You walk into a Starbucks, not a soul in there. You'll stand at that freaking counter, wait 10 minutes before someone waits on you. And then you see freaking Missy and Dissy and freaking, Hunter coming in and getting their coffee, because everybody mobile orders. So they're all rushing around making mobile orders. Yet the guy or the gal standing in front of them with money ready to pay for whatever they fucking want to order, they neglect because they're running around making mobile orders. Do you realize freaking, we pulled up to Starbucks, and Jen, instead of going in and waiting in line, will freaking do a mobile order from the freaking parking lot and walk in and pick it up.
I do that at McDonald's. I don't eat a lot of fast food, but I do that at McDonald's and Taco Bell, and I'll do it from the parking lot because I'll get my order faster.
But Starbucks it's the worst. They have a bunch of people back there. It is just a shit show.
We have a Dunkin' Donuts next to our shop that employ nothing but homeless people, or people that got fired from Starbucks, and I just don't go in there anymore. Last time I went in there, I ordered my energy cold brew, and it's always hit and fucking miss on cold brew. You know, whether it's been 24 hours and it's perfect, or it's been 4 days and it sucks. You know, and the last time, and it was the last straw of that one, and I picked it up from the mobile order. You know, and it has like a little tray, and take one sip, and I just right in front of them dropped it straight in the trash can. And then just walked out, and then never ordered another drink. It's been over a year. They don't care. They don't care.
Our Dunkin' Donuts up the road is the people who work there are idiots, and it's I've walked in, and what's funny is like these people cop an attitude. Like it is very like confrontational. Because when I got to repeat myself a couple of times, I probably have a tone. But I'll be like, hey, can I get a dozen donuts? Just mix them your selection and a tall dark roast. All right. So I'm sitting there waiting. What'd you order? I said a dozen donuts. You know, mixed. You guys mix them however you want to. I said and a tall dark roast. I'm sitting there. Someone goes, what do you want? I said, what I ordered was, and then they go, what? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, but the first couple of times when I placed my order, you didn't get it right. So maybe I need to speak clearly and slowly. So what I ordered was a dozen donuts. You mix them up. I don't care what does it. I don't even care if you take 12 of the same donut and put it in a box. I want a dozen donuts and a tall, dark, 16-ounce, whatever, dark roast. And then they cop an attitude with you. And I'm like, well, the first 2 or 3 times when you asked me and I gave my order and I was trying to be really nice and like, dozen donuts, you know, you select. When I speak more firmly and a little bit more clearly, then you get mad at me. Well, you obviously didn't comprehend the first 3 times I asked nicely.
Yeah.
And I'm not yelling. Yeah. I'm not being a dick.
Yeah.
Because you know, I'm always waiting for, you know, it's just, you're always waiting for that fucking one person to be like,
oh, I know, because it's only the last 3 minutes of that interaction is gonna get online. You know, you're not gonna get the first 4 times you told them. All they're gonna get is I said I want, you know, like, oh, look at Kerr being a dick.
Look at that Karen. Look at that Karen. Look at how they're acting. It's like,
yeah, well, I know. There used to be a couple. Young girls.
The staff had something to do with that.
I know. There used to be a couple of young girls working the Dunkin' next door, and they used to bring their cars in, and they were real nice. And I had to sit down with them one day. I go, listen, hey, when people come over and they get Dunkin', they say, hey, I want to get some donuts for Tires Plus next door. I go, all chocolate. I go, don't put 12 glazed donuts in the box. We don't want that. I go, all chocolate filled, Boston cream, whatever, chocolate sprinkles. I go, that's what you give them. And they did great. And every time customers come back, oh, I got some donuts for you guys. And they'd be all chocolate. I'm like, my girls, you know? So, but sadly they were good and they left. Replaced by some homeless people. So, or the unhoused. I don't know.
Yeah, don't say that wrong and get in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. It was.
I mean, I know that they changed terminologies. Do you have any insight as to why unhoused is more appropriate than homeless?
I think it's like it's the same reason we can't use hobo or bum anymore.
Well, hobo and bum is a little harsh. Okay, I get that. Okay, there's a big difference between hobo and homeless.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
unhoused and homeless,
yeah,
I'm trying to figure out where.
because
Forgive my freaking,
because the homeless in many people's, I think, idea is a homeless person, it's their fault that they're homeless, or either drug addicts or whatever happened. But the unhoused are just people that have fallen on a tough situation, and it's not their fault that they're living on the streets, so they're unhoused. The homeless are these dirty hobos shooting up in the streets, and that's the homeless. That's just.
but they use unhoused for all now.
Oh yeah, I know that in my mind, that's the only thing that I can think of, is it's just a better
That's
a better term.
I gotta freaking look that up, because I wondered why, because it was like, again,
Yeah, someone commented.
I get the whole concept of bum. I do.
Yeah. Well, that same someone commented on one of my Instagram. I can't remember if it was a video or a one of my static posts, but they commented earlier today, and the comment was, when did they start calling you guys technicians instead of mechanics? And then my comment was, it's definitely, I've been at Tires Plus for 17 years now. So when I started, we were still mechanics. And then somewhere in the last 15 years, we've moved on to technicians, because I think everything is like my buddy's not a garbage man. He's a waste management technician, because like as a mechanic, when you think of a mechanic, you think of a guy with grease on his face and a red rag hanging out of his back pocket trying to sell you blinker fluid. But the technician is the guy with the fancy clipboard, maybe the tablet like I got, and he's, clean
I want the
and more
guy with the towel, and I want him working on my car.
Yeah, yes.
Clean. I want a guy with some clean shirt on.
Yeah, I want to see someone that looks like me working on their car. That's what I want. I don't want some clean guy, like I said, that pristine,
sweat.
Yeah, I want someone like me to explain, got a beard, got some tattoos, little gruff looking. Like if you met him on the street.
I don't care if you're a man or woman.
Yeah.
I want to see freaking dirt, sweat. I want to see a freaking handkerchief. I want to see, like you said, that red handkerchief hanging out your back pocket.
Yeah.
I want to see you just like sighing every 10 minutes because you want to freaking hit someone with one of your freaking tools. That's someone who's a mechanic.
Yeah, maybe the guy you look out in the shop and he's chain smoking cigarettes around your car. Like that's the guy I want,
because they're freaking stressed because they got to work on your car and they know it's going to take a lot of work. Not the guy who's like, So unhoused shifts the focus to the lack of physical structure and systemic housing issue, whereas homeless can carry stigma or imply a personal failing.
Okay.
So unhoused is increasingly adopted by advocates, journalists, and local governments. This term highlights the systemic failure of the housing market rather than implying an individual fault. It draws distinction between a physical structure and a common connection, which is home or house. Where it brought homeless is the traditional, widely understood term used by the government agencies. It broadly describes anyone without a fixed, regular nighttime residence. However, critics argue it defines people by their condition and implies that their lack of sense of belonging or home.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, when I read both of those terms, they both say the same thing.
Yeah.
But they're trying, but the operative part of it is homeless has a stigma. Unhoused, apparently, since someone who is far superior than I and you and I, came up with that term and said it does not have a stigma.
Yeah.
What you have is most people, when you hear unhoused, they roll their eyes.
Yeah.
Like
that's it. Cigar smoking arborist, 106 heat index in Minnesota. Boy, I can't wait till it cools down to 106. I bet that feels good.
That's why I moved to Mexico.
Yeah.
I don't like even Minnesota. I'm telling you right now, Kevin, even in Minnesota, it's 103 degrees. I don't understand. 104 degrees. When I'm when I'm down in Mexico, I'm right on the Gulf. I can surf.
Yeah.
I get a nice breeze off of it. I'm completely cut off from technology and the rest of the world.
Oh my God. Yeah. 106 though. That's I'm not gonna lie, that sucks. It sucks.
106 in Minnesota. You see, that's the reason why when I was the governor, I was trying to push to get some of those aerosol cans removed, because a lot of people in Minnesota, they still use that Aquanet. And now it's creating this big hole in the ozone layer, and it's causing this great heat now.
It's the immigration. It's all the Somalians. You know, that's what's causing.
I don't believe that. I think that's Trump. That's all that bullshit that guy pulls. I don't believe that at all. You can go downtown Minnesota and it's perfectly fine. It's safe. It's just all those people using Aquanet.
Yeah. Oh my God, I miss that guy.
He was the best, wasn't
he? He was right. Like there's those couple of years right before he went insane, where he was funny.
When he was bald with the mustache, when he was the governor, and he was like debates, and he'd be like, "I was a Navy SEAL. I would have done things that make you puke in your hat. What have you done?"
I know. Oh my God, that was great.
Oh man! And then all of a sudden, it went from that to his show.
Oh yeah.
What was that? Oh God, what was his show? The conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
And then he just freaking grew his hair long, start wearing Jimi Hendrix t-shirts, and just disappeared.
Yeah. Just magnificent. But yeah, it's I don't know. Yeah, the unhoused, the homeless, we need to bring back hobos, you know. That's
bring back hobos.
We gotta bring back the word hobo. We gotta bring back the word we gotta bring back some words. Honky's another word I think we need to bring back. That's I feel like we're not saying the word honky enough. So
turn on Nick at Night. You can turn on All in the Family or the Jeffersons. You'll hear plenty of it.
I know. You know, so
you went to hobo, so that's got to come with a stick, and then
a biddle. Yeah, a biddle.
Is that what it's called?
It's called a biddle. Yeah.
See, you learn something new every day. You see, now you can now you can say, look, there's the unhoused carrying a biddle, and it would be perfectly appropriate.
Yeah.
I don't know. The changing of the words. I sometimes in terminology. There's, like I said, some I get, I understand. It is what it is, but there's some that just kind of make me scratch my head a little bit, and that was one that I just really was still trying to understand. Even after I read the definitions and I get it, I still go, meh. You know, they're saying the same thing.
Yeah, 100% agree. It's
humanizing language, is what they say, Kev. Humanizing.
Yeah, it's just everything's got to have, everyone has to have a title. Everyone, I remember years ago, like it was people would say, "Oh, you're an atheist." Well, I don't know. You don't believe in God, so you got to be an atheist. I'm like, well, you can, I really don't want to put a title on, that, but you got to be something. You got to be in a group. You got to be a minority or a majority. You gotta, you just can't be somebody. I'm like, oh, listen, you Democrat or Republican. Well, I mean, kind of a, independent, if you say that. Well, which way do you lean? You got to be Democrat or Republican. You can't, you can be an independent, but you got to lean one way or to the other, and you got to, everything has, a friend of mine, she's no longer a friend. She was a really good friend, but she went crazy, with the whole, I don't even want to get into it, but, I was a cis male because we couldn't use the term straight anymore because that implied that everyone else was crooked if they weren't straight. So you had to be a cis male. That was a term you have to accept that term that you're a, I'm just a guy, trying to live his life, pay my bills, support my family, make sure, I do good for my community, pay my taxes. I don't have to be anything.
Don't judge people.
Yeah, don't judge people. I don't put terms on other people. Like I don't care what you are, so I don't know.
I have found that a lot of people who claim to be the most inclusive folks end up being the most judgiest people.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like you. It's like, listen, man, live your life, go as you please. I'm not going to judge you. I have friends and family and acquaintances of many walks, many whatever. I always hate when folks always want to try and force you to have to give you their resume of friends to prove yourself. And it's like, just it goes back to your leaning question, right? Your leaning statement, right? Which way do you lean? I usually lean away from ignorance. I don't lean left. I don't lean right. I lean away from ignorance, and ignorance comes in both forms. Ignorance comes on both sides of the aisle. Ignorance comes in any, no matter who it may be. I lean away from ignorance, and I lean into common sense. I lean into objectivity, and I lean into love and being truly accepting and inclusive, and not being accepting and inclusive only if you believe what I believe. And I think that's where the word, and I remember James Hetfield from Metallica said that he was living in San Francisco and he moved to Colorado. They said, why? Because I was living there. And they said, well, you're a West Coaster. He goes, yeah. He goes, I learned that I lived in a community that was accepting. They were accepting if you believed what they believed. And they promote this accepting, openness and everything else. But toe the line, say what I say, think what I think, use the same terms I use. If you don't, then you're not going to be accepted. And he said, I just freaking bought a whole bunch of property, moved it to Colorado, and fuck that. I'm happier than the freaking pig and poop.
Yeah, I had two of my friends recently, like really good professionals, and they've been Trump supporters since day one, and they're really hardcore MAGA, but they also happen to be Jewish, it was pro-Israel and Trump loves Israel, Trump loves the Jews, and then it was the this latest deal with Iran. And both of them posted within one day to each other, he's got to go. He's an anti-Semite. And I'm like, you guys really? Just spent like 8 years, toting this guy up, and then now like, he's got to go. Not happy. And I'm like, oh, you just can't.
I'd hate to. I do believe that there is, especially now, this political environment, whether it's Trump derangement syndrome or freaking ultra MAGA people, et cetera, et cetera. I feel bad for people that have to build their identity around that.
Yeah, I've got friends that are, black, white, Asian, gay, lesbian, bi, everything, and we all have the same thing in common. We kind of hate everyone. They come in the shop, we talk online, and it's just like, yeah, we all say the same thing. Yeah, we just want to go to work. We just want to pay our bills. We want to be able to afford a home. We want to, give our families what, everything that they want. And like we're all the same on that. Like we don't care what your beliefs are. Not that we don't care. Like you shouldn't have your beliefs. Like we just don't care.
It's not going to influence how I feel about you. I want to sit down and have a conversation with somebody about family, about some commonality. And if your cornerstone of commonality is politics, listen, if you're a political person, and I studied politics and I know a lot of people, and I'm friends with a lot of folks, especially in your politics. If that's your wheelhouse, that's your wheelhouse. God bless. know, it's the same thing with religion, right? I
Yeah.
consider myself, I'm very strong in my faith, but I also can't really dig and get into the whole like, hey, on Sunday we're gonna meet and have freaking, coffee, cigars, and read the Bible. You know, I just I this is who I am. This is my belief. If you don't believe in what I believe in, then that's on you. That's your gig, man. I mean, who am I to freaking, you know, try and take a step into your life and your world and tell you what you should and should not do or how wrong you are. I mean, that's not how I think things are. We talked about it before. It's why I like cigar shops. You sit around, you talk about your commonalities, you hang out, you shoot shit about things, sports, family, the cigar you're smoking, what you're pairing it with, and then you really start digging down. And you find out you have more in common than differences. But it's like it is like those the same type of constitution of the individuals who freaking get wrapped around freaking pyramid schemes and freaking Scientology and stuff. Like you have to find something to have an identity, because if you don't, then you're kind of lost.
Yeah. My parents are conservative Christians. They go to church, I don't know, 8-9 times a week. And they host Bible study when we're over there, or we've been with them. They don't talk about church. They don't say, hey, why don't you come to church with us? Oh, is that where you want to be when Jesus comes back, making fun of poor little, like Joe Dirt. But yeah, they don't ever talk about church. They don't ever try and push their, they know how to read the fucking room, and
Yeah.
but yeah, that's it. And they're Christians. Yeah, they love, if you want to talk about, my mom, which I remember one time my dad come home and my mom's got a couple of like the Jehovah Witnesses like in the house, I think he was saying, and she was talking to them about the Bible. And but yeah, it's just what they do. But yeah, they don't push it, and they're just I don't know, just regular folk.
Yeah, my dad's like that. I mean, my dad, he was, we grew up varsity Catholic. I would say varsity
Yeah,
Catholic. 'Cause,
yeah.
I went to freaking Catholic school, and we went to church every Sunday, and the whole shebang-a-lang. He was when he got older, he became a Eucharistic minister. He did Bible studies and stuff like that.
I don't mean to interrupt. What's Eucharistic? I've heard that term. My parents have used that term.
The Holy Eucharist is the host. So if you're a Eucharistic minister, that means that you assist in giving out the host during communion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Plus, you can do other crap. You do other chores. You read and readings and whatever else. But my dad, and then what my dad would do too is he would actually go to the homes and to areas where people are either to assisted living facilities, skilled facilities, or people's homes that were either sick or dying and couldn't make it to church, and he would take the host with him, and he would kind of give them give them their host, say a prayer with them. So he did a lot of really good stuff. But again, I'd pray with my dad every morning. We'd say our prayers, and then we'd sit there and he'd talk about politics and weather and freaking the Flyers and the Phillies and the Eagles, and but again, when we go over there and hang out, it wasn't all Bible talk. I mean, he was just a blue cigar smoking arborist.
Yeah.
He was a blue collar. He worked blue collar his whole life. He was a mechanic. He worked at he was like on the Lion Gang. He worked at 3 Mile Island. He was just a guy who was just very accepting and very loving, who was very strong in his faith, and never tried to impose that on anybody. Same with his political beliefs too.
Yeah, there's what, 350 million people in America. Let's say there's 100 million kids, so it leaves 250 million adults in America. I believe there's 249 million good people out there, and there's 1 million. So there's a tiny percent of people that are just dicks. or that just want to cause problems. And those are the people that make the news. You know, the average person from Wisconsin, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, Texas, they're just hardworking people that just want to provide for their families,
Yeah.
you know, and just, you know, they don't want to pay too much in taxes. They don't want their tax dollars going to waste. And they're just good people. And I think that is the majority, 99.9% of the American population is just people that just want to be fucking left alone to do their jobs, to live.
Yeah, and I love listening to people who have opposing beliefs or opinions, but are intelligent and articulate. And you know, instead of just screaming and yelling, over talking, and just you know the buzz phrases and words on both sides of the aisle, whether you're a freaking Republican or Democrat.
I'd say they have their talking points.
It all gets old after a while. It's like, you know what? I mean, freaking Sean Hannity. I don't care what show you watch. You know, it's almost like when he will be on that show for next 100 years because they're going to find an AI just be able to repeat the same stupid shit he says over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And you know, the one guy who I really started liking more and more over the years is Bill Maher. Yeah, I think Bill Maher kind of grew up when Bill Maher was younger. He's really arrogant and kind of a bit of a dick, but I think he started to realize that I don't agree with everything he has to say, but I think even the stuff that he does, I don't agree with. His rationale and reasoning behind it, actually can make sense, and I can go, okay, you know what? I see where he's coming from. I may not agree 100% with him, but I see where he's coming from. And it actually makes me take pause and think about something. And I may approach things differently, not in full agreement with him, but I may approach things differently because of what I learned. And I use him as an example, but I've had many a great conversations with individuals who have opposing views, who you're not getting, you know, your Fox News regurgitation, you know, during a conversation. You're not getting your CNN talking points. You're not getting your MSNBC talking points. You know, you're getting someone who says, "Hey, here's why I feel. Here's what I believe. Here's why I support this person. Here's what I've seen. Here's what I like. Here's what I think is the impact it's having." You know, but I also like to talk to and listen to people who, like, and Bill Maher, this is why I think he's a unique individual. He's a liberal, but he blasts both sides of the aisle.
Yeah, you know,
if you're not willing to do that, then I don't think that you're very good at being able to truly be objective.
Yeah, he just had a good interview with Jerry Seinfeld. It was a good podcast. But yeah, I listened to Bill Maher, and he just I got to go back and find. I've seen some clips of his interview with JD Vance, and a couple, you know, the clips, like JD had said some things, and like he gave Bill like pause, you know, like, you know, when you know, a lot of people, you know, really to the left, you know, they don't pause, they, you know, to think like, oh, okay, I'm like, I see where you're coming from on that, you know. And Bill Maher will say, I see where you're coming from. I don't believe that, but I understand, like, and I now understand why you believe that,
right?
You know, so yeah, so he'll respect you for that versus coming out, you're wrong. Like James Carville was big on that. No matter what, James Carville, Raging Cajun, you know, you instantly started talking about something else, and you were always wrong. I love, over the last month, he is so fed up with the Democratic Socialists that have taken over his party. And he's so mad because the Socialist Party, that, you know, nobody's going to elect the Socialist Party. So the socialists have and there's no such thing as a socialist Republican. So that whole Mamdani and his crew have just kind of taken over. And basically, you know, Carville's now saying they need to get out. Like they need, like they're starting to hijack our party, and they need to get out. I'm like, oh, I love it. I love it, James. Keep speaking, you know. So
he's a unique dude, man. There's some days he says some shit that just, you're like, what? What did he say? Well, it is interesting because like you said, when someone, even though you have opposing views, when somebody says something that comes from a logical place, you're like, okay, and you know what happens then? At that point, you can actually stop having conversations about politics and talk about other things and be friends.
Yeah.
But the thing is, and like you said, this is the key component of it is, um, so many people are thinking about how they want to respond. They're not listening to what you're saying.
Yeah.
So many people automatically, as soon as you say something, they hear a buzzword that triggers them, which is another word I fucking hate. And they start thinking about how they're going to freaking prove you wrong instead of saying, you know what? I need to kind of clear my mind for a moment. I need to listen to what this person's saying and try and understand it. And I always tell the kids this, believe whatever you want to believe. Just make sure you educate yourself on your belief. Make you sure you educate yourself on the person's opposing belief, and seek to understand. If you don't seek to understand, then all you're doing is you're seeking to argue. And
Yeah.
you will
And
find more than enough people that will be more than happy to argue with you.
that
But
they
if you
just want,
seek to understand, at that point you can kind of weed out the people who know what they're talking about and the people that are just freaking regurgitating the shit that they hear.
You nailed it on head. You can weed those people out just by listening to them, because when they say something, and Jessica's and I had, like she mentioned something earlier about it, like DeSantis signing a bill or something about AI. I'm like, oh, I don't know enough about that. Like I didn't hear that. I'll have to look. And like I said, I got a mental note. I'm gonna look it up afterwards. I've had conversations with people like, oh, same thing. I don't know. And then that was it. Some people that you would say, oh, I don't know. Let me look that up. Well, you don't have to look it up. I'm telling you the information you need. And at that point, I'm like, all right, I just know you're wrong. I know you're wrong now, because if you don't want me looking it up, now I know you're just giving me, your bias, what you read of this. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Let me look that up and just do a little bit more research on that. So I have, more knowledge. That sounds like an interesting topic, if that's true, that's wrong. I don't believe that.
Well, you can't. They won't stop giving them airtime, because that's the kind of airtime that gets viewers. Heaven forbid if you actually had a show that where you had people having some serious conversations, like you said, seeking to understand. And it's like, I flip through and I watch both, sides. You see all the different clips of people going into these different rallies and asking questions. And as soon as you prove somebody wrong, or if you ask them to explain what they believe in or explain what they're saying, they want to get mad at you right away. And it's like, you know what? Freaking you got pantsed. And if you are, again, going back to the original conversation, this generation of 60 and 70-year-olds, when you're at that age, you've been pantsed a lot when you were younger.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have your phone. Like you said, when you were in a room, someone said something like, oh man, that was really smart. You know what Bob just said? Bob said this, that makes sense. And then you believe what Bob said, and then you found out maybe Bob was full of shit. He's just a good bullshitter. Or maybe Bob's smart. Now, you Google shit, and then of course you're gonna be freaking, pushed to a freaking your little echo chamber that you want to go into. And I think when you're in that echo chamber, you cease to grow. You cease to grow.
You do. And you mentioned like you Google something. So like I'll set an alarm on my phone, a couple times a day to remind me to do something. And the other day, and it was I'm like, hey, then when my alarm goes off, it like plays music for a few seconds, and then and it says today's top news. So it'll go on for about a minute, 2 minutes, whatever it is, telling me today's top news, the weather, and just reminding me, hey, your alarm's going off. It's not just an alarm blaring, reminding me of stuff. So sometimes I'll just leave it in my pocket and I'll just listen to today's, quick wrap up. And it was always the Google News, and it just irritated me the other day. And it was Donald Trump's failed reflecting pool program, and I'm like, That's how you're starting that off. I'm like, this is
slow news.
yeah.
Day.
I'm like, yeah, like that was that's kind of fucked up. Just like you can talk about that, but it was like Donald Trump's failed reflecting pool, and that's how the Google News in this lady's soft, sweet voice came up, and I'm like, huh. Well, I think you're not just not pushing an agenda there, are you, fucking Google?
No, I've seen a lot of those. I think I always used to get on like Yahoo News, and I'd scroll and count how many negatives and how many positives, and then depends on who's the president, what's going on, and it's like it's so obvious to the objective eye that if you don't notice it, then there's a problem. And there's a book I'll have to send it to you, Kevin. You can post it on one of our podcast notes. It's a small book, it's a little booklet called "The Slope We Stopped Seeing," and it really discussed how over a period of time that this change occurred, and it almost became so unnoticeable that by the time we recognized it, you're like, "What the fuck just happened?" It's like just changing, like it'd be like you just changing the freaking angle of your freaking camera ever so slightly during the podcast, that by the time the podcast is over, we're looking at the ceiling and no one really recognizes that you're looking at the ceiling until it fucking happens.
Yeah.
And it discusses echo chambers and how it changes family dynamics, and interactions. It's actually a pretty interesting read.
Yeah, I always I in my car videos, I'll tell people, to get your car looked at, because you don't know when something slowly goes out. And I go, it's like watching your spouse get fat. It happens so slowly.
Yeah.
That you don't notice it. Same thing with your car. That noise comes on so slowly. By the time, like a friend gets in your car, like, what the fuck is that noise? You're like, what noise?
Or the pull. We talked about the pull, right? It's like
or the pull, and like you're having to hold the steering wheel like all the way over.
I gotta get in the car before Jennifer, and I'm like, "What the hell did you do?" She's like, "What do you mean?" I go, "This thing pulls left." No, it doesn't. I go, "Yeah, it most certainly does. You're just used to driving it, And it's like subtle things. It's the different, like the changing of words, the changing of definitions. It's
the
things that happen over
mechanic to technician, from the homeless to the unhoused. It's just it just slowly, and before you know, you're like, well, when did that happen?
And it's like,
I don't know.
And I think when it's one of those things where, you said it earlier, if you're an atheist, you got to be labeled. And then you get to the point where someone's just like, look, here's the deal. If you don't believe these words and this set of rules, then you're bad.
Yeah.
And then you kind of like going, well, I know I'm not bad. Just because I don't believe in what you believe in, I'm not conforming to XYZ, it doesn't mean I have hate in my heart. It doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that I disagree with you. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that has been inherently vilified, to have a disagreement with someone, especially if someone is so quick to want to start calling you names and accusing you of things. It's like, hey, I don't believe in this. Oh, well, you're an ist, and you're an S, and you're this, and you're that. You're like, well, hold on for a second here. You don't fucking know me. And just because I disagree with you on something doesn't necessarily, label me. You're the one labeling me, not my beliefs. And that's where people, I think we've gone so far where an individual's actions and beliefs, well, their beliefs, but more their actions and how they are, no longer define who they are. It's someone labeling them because of them disagreeing with them. And it's sad because there's a lot of really good people out there, I think, who either stay silent because they're like, I'm just going to stay in my lane. I'm not going to freaking, pipe up, or there's a lot of good people out there who are verbal about things and vocal about things, but they just get freaking labeled, and it's unfortunate because, you're just not going to fall in line. And
Yeah.
that's one thing that, we're coming up on 250 years of anniversary of our nation. And there's a lot of people who thumb their nose at it. And I'm thinking, what country, you name me one country that's got a pristine freaking history. Okay, I say that again, you got to give disclaimers nowadays. Not dismissing, not freaking refuting, not disagreeing. I'm saying, if you're so harsh, like, oh, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to move to England. Oh, I'm just going to move to Spain. I'm just going to,
Yeah.
really? When you want to know their history?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like every country has a freaking history that is, that's not one that you go freaking bragging about and you freaking put up posters about, but what makes your country great is that you can learn from the past and learn from the sins of our fathers and our forefathers and the mistakes that have been made and the injustices that were freaking that occurred, and make the country better moving forward. You still should have you should still have country pride. I think we talked last week about it. That's what this whole, US, that's what the freaking World Cup's about.
That's it. And if you think it's better, anywhere else, just watch the tens of thousands of videos on social media of these people from different countries just absolutely loving it here. And yes, the big things are air conditioning and ranch dressing. That's the two big things they love, but that's still,
What do you mean?
it's still pretty neat. Still, we got all the air conditioning and ranch dressing that you could ever want.
And you could eat ranch dressing in an air conditioned room, getting free refills of your soda.
Yeah, free refills. Yes.
Well, I saw the one guy, he said, if you want to hate America, watch the media. If you want to love America, come visit.
Yeah. That's it. That's a great tagline. That's a great tagline right there.
God, yeah. And of course, it's always that, oh yeah, I wonder what other countries think of us. Well, when they come over and they tell us what they think of us, if it's not what you believe, it's like, oh, well, they don't know what they're talking about. They're just here and they're just drinking beer and eating ranch dressing in air conditioned rooms.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they can get on social media and say what they really believe without fear of retribution from their government. You can come here and you can trash our government if you want. You could trash your local city councilman, the local judges, and there's no consequences to your actions. And that's good or bad. You get to say what you want.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's one of those things where it's the free speech is not necessarily protecting your beliefs and your speech. It's protecting the person that freaking is whose speech is opposing yours. And it's quite impressive when you watch it and you do see that. But again, I do, like many other patriots of their countries. I think we live in one of the greatest countries, not the greatest country in the world. Lots of flaws, lots of freaking crap going on. 100%. But I think all in all, when you put it on a scale, it's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done, and I think a lot of work that needs to be done is in areas that people don't want to freaking talk about. It's easier to bitch about the most, the freaking buzzword, freaking, climate change, gun control, freaking taxes, whatever else, but when you really want to start talking, or, abortion and stuff, but it's like, okay, great. You're pro-life and you come from a conservative state, then start fixing your adoption freaking laws.
Yeah.
Start fucking being freaking more productive in your state-run DSS programs, where freaking kids are freaking sleeping in freaking offices because they don't have a place to stay. but yet you want to freaking you'll be the first to ban abortion because you think it's freaking murder, but you won't do anything about the lives that have been that are out there that need the support and help. So if you're gonna freaking talk the talk, then you got to walk the walk.
Yeah.
And mental health's a huge issue. We talk about the unhoused, you know or the homeless, and you talk about maybe even some of the gun violence, you know and everything that goes along with the medical system. Fix your mental health freaking problem, man. You go into any freaking area, you try and find any type of fucking psychologist or psychiatrist that deals with pediatrics and adolescents. It's hard to find them. They have a waiting list.
Yeah.
Start investing money in your community and in your people, especially in with mental health. You will solve a lot of problems if you truly take an approach and be more productive and really work towards the problem and fixing the problem instead of giving the problem a label and making it okay.
Yeah. Giving it a label, giving the problem medication, on top of that, which just creates more fucking issues,
But it is. I mean, listen, medication, especially with mental health, it's like anything else. If you have high blood pressure and or if you have diabetes and you need medication, you take it. If you have mental health issues, you may need medication for the rest of your life, and it's important for you to get it. But it's even more important to get proper therapy, to get proper care, to get proper checkups, to get someone who's actually involved and engrossed in your health, and just not, oh yeah, you're just here for okay, yeah, okay, yeah, everything looks good, goodbye. You collect your freaking $130 and you go on to your next patient. I just think that with mental health for me, I'm pretty passionate about it. It is just an area that is just it's neglected. It's just it people keep trying to put freaking, patchwork on it, and if you freaking it's not very good patchwork, you're a drywall guy. If you have a hole in your wall and you do a shitty patchwork, guess what's gonna happen over a period of time? You're gonna see where that fucking hole was.
Yeah, and you gotta, do your, as a car guy, even got to do your preventative maintenance. Get them when they're young. And and if there's mental health issues, get it taken care of. Don't let it fester. Don't let that noise get so loud to where it's non-repairable anymore.
No,
just like it's like there's no fixing that car. There's no fixing that person. It's just it's beyond fixing, and it's
and the part with mental health is it's not a car that you can be like, you know what, I'm just gonna get another car. It's a fucking human life, man.
Yeah.
And it's important to really provide the best possible care for them. And like I said, even in these states with family court, that's another thing. Golly,
oh jeez, too many friends going through that, and
that is you talk about a system that is just set up to just make money and freaking give the appearance that they care about families, and at the end of the day, it's just that's all it is. That's all it is, and you will never hear any politician or any lawmaker ever talk about family law and redoing family law and because they don't want to fuck with anything.
Yeah.
They don't want to
they don't want to be on the wrong, what they perceive or what the public perceives as the wrong side of that conversation.
That's right.
It's because no matter which way you go, boy, it was the right or the wrong group, will take what you say out of context and, oh, he's not for moms. He's not for mom, or he's not for dads. He's not for single dads. It's better to just ignore the situation than address it and then be perceived as being on the wrong side.
That's right. If you don't address it, then in their minds, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You go buy these these freaking courthouses, and they're freaking beautifully built, freaking gorgeous freaking buildings, and you're like, really? That, how do you think that was built? You know, it just didn't just show up there one day. And it's like, I could go on for hours about that, just because, from personal experience, but like you said, also I have friends and family members,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
that have experienced on both sides of the fence too, on both sides, you know, and the one thing I learned the most of all is when it comes to color and family court, the one color that supersedes all is green.
Green. Yeah.
If you got the money, and that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
And sad.
Yeah. When I got divorced from my first wife, Mary, who, well, like I said, we're still great friends. We talk all the time. Her and Jessica are best friends. When we got divorced, the kids were, like 14 and 16. So they're teenagers, but it was all about, the best interest of the kids. What are we going to do for the best interest of the kids? And we worked everything out. It was amicable. I paid my dues, and yeah, I took care of them. It was just, it wasn't a fighting, he said, she said. It was, you can't do this, you can't do that. It was just like, how are we going to make sure these kids are functionable members of society? And we did pretty good with one of them. Yeah.
Well, I mean, but I think that's great if you can get to that point, because co-parenting is really a term that is overused and actually under freaking implemented.
Yeah.
Because it's always some ridiculous power struggle between parents.
Yes. Yeah.
And everything is under the guise of what's best for the kids. And heaven forbid if you freaking get lawyers or freaking guardians involved with shit that are biased as fuck, that are under the, my God, that's all it is.
Yeah.
It's the best interest of the kid. You're not doing your fucking job. You lazy freaking biased jackass. And you want more money, and all you're doing is you're actually making the situation and the environment worse for the kids, because you're feeding into this power struggle back and forth with parents, and men and women are both guilty of it. They are,
Yeah. And especially, I think sometimes when you see like these lawyers and these other people, like, especially when the kids are really young, you're like, oh, getting a divorce and the kid's like 5 years old, and he's always like, oh man, I got this case for another, till they're 18. Oh my God, I can make some money off this one.
Well, yeah, if they work well together and they freaking pay their support and everything's fine, I got nothing. Every once in a while, you got to freaking stir the pot, and it doesn't help too if you got one side, or both sides who are freaking, making it a personal vendetta.
Yes.
At that point, had a buddy of mine asked me about that. He's like, started asking me questions about it. I said, look, dude, how bad do you want to win?
Yeah.
Like, how bad do you want to win? Because if you want to win, you can win. It's going to cost you a lot of money.
Yeah.
But and then what do you win? Like, what is the byproduct of your victory? So you really have to take a lot of that into consideration. If you start giving any type of consideration that and the other person doesn't, it can end up being a weakness too. So,
that's it.
That's where, you have one person working under the guise of trying to do what's right, and you have the other person who's got an agenda. Tough spot on relationships.
God, eight step kids through the three. That's a lot, brother.
Yeah, that's a freaking Brady Bunch, man.
It is, but I'm there as well. My first wife, we had two kids. My second wife, she didn't have any kids. Didn't want any kids. I couldn't have any kids anyways. With the second one, so there was no issues there. Then Jessica came with not only two kids, one with autism and one with Down syndrome. That was that's people always say, like, boy, you came in that relationship with some with some baggage. And I'm like, those kids are, Down syndrome, try living with me. Like my back, that Down syndrome kid has nothing on my
Yeah.
eccentricities, of living with Kevin, yeah. You'll
You'll walk in a
that,
park.
Down syndrome's walk in a park versus the baggage that I just come with as myself. So yeah,
No, I hear you, man. It's definitely interesting. And when I met Jennifer, Joseph was 3 months into treatment. You know,
yeah, leukemia, yeah,
and I got to tell you,
that's a lot, yeah,
that when you talk about comparisons with folks, I met Jennifer who was taking care of Joseph, and what was funny is, it was in those situations a parent can really use that to elevate themselves, to make it about them, you know. Oh, look at all the shit I gotta go through. Oh, look at this I gotta go through. Look, and that was the what Jennifer never, ever, ever, ever talked about it from her perspective and the struggles that she had and what she was going through. Everything was always about what was best for Joe.
yeah,
And I was one of the reasons, I really kind of fell for her and I respected that because it really kind of for me, with dating, previous marriages and with dating, it really kind of level set, you know, for me it kind of brought things down to earth on, how people are and what's in their heart and what's important and how people who are blessed with good kids, healthy families, they look for shit so they could bring the attention upon themselves. The
yeah,
Munchausen by proxy, you
yeah,
know. And it's like, you know what, man? Just sometimes you got to be happy for what you have. But if you are someone who is in that tumultuous freaking ID crisis and you don't know what's going on, and you're always attaching yourself to people or to causes or to political parties or to this or to that, you're probably going to attach yourself to some sort of freaking issue, and then that now becomes your life.
yeah,
And it's a sad state because you affect all those people around you. Instead of just going, you know what? I had somebody tell me one time, you're probably, what you're looking for is you're gonna look you just wanna have a vanilla life, and that's really boring, and you're gonna get bored with it. And I'm like, "You know what? Vanilla's pretty fucking good." You know?
yeah.
Vanilla's a pretty good flavor, man.
Yeah, I just Jessica always, she always says, when she viewed my plenty of fish profile, and saw me, she's like, oh, this guy, because she's a little bit of a wild child, or she used to
Mhm.
be, like, oh, this guy, he's probably gonna be wild. And then she always says he is the squarest motherfucker on the planet. He is about as vanilla gets. And I'm like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
wasn't. I wasn't, but I think I've made enough mistakes, and I'm always tell folks, man, you're never too old to learn. As soon as when you get that wake up call, listen to it and start applying yourself to what you're learning because you don't get too many wake up calls, man.
yeah,
You don't. And there's so many folks out there that think, oh, I'm too old, or they're too set in their ways, or they're too fragile to admit that they're wrong. Because
yeah,
that's one of the toughest things, man, is to admit you're wrong. Because what you end up doing is you end up deconstructing yourself, and then you really got to find out who you are, and then you got to kind of rebuild. And um and that's quite a journey, and it's not a perfect journey, because when you say that, people are like, oh, so you think you're better? No, I don't. A fucking last person who was freaking perfect on this world, they nailed to a cross 2,000 years ago. So
yeah,
I'm far from perfect, but you have to really kind of deconstruct yourself and then build yourself back up again and try and be the person that you're intended to be. And you're gonna fuck up along the way a lot. You just gotta learn from your fuck ups. If you go through life always thinking that you're right and it's someone else's fault, guess what, man? the room's going to empty, and there's going to be no one around to point the finger at. And that's the truth. And I think that's what one thing that this generation is unfortunately falling into. It's so easy to blame that it's like, dude, look where you're
Yeah.
standing. Look where you're sitting right now. And it's if it how many people can you blame before you stop the freaking cycle and come back to fucking the square fucking root, the surface, the freaking cornerstone, which is you. You're responsible for what you do.
Yeah, you say that like so. We just had with the one kid that quit at work. And he had screwed up a tire pretty good. We had to trash the tire, and luckily we had another one in stock. But one thing I told everyone at the beginning, you're going to make mistakes. Learn from your mistakes. Like I say, if you break one or two things, it's not a big deal. Don't break the same thing 3, 4, 5, 6 times. If you get into a situation where a car and it's not going well, stop. Just stop. Come get somebody. We've been doing this a long time. We'll figure it out. We'll unfuck it for you. And he had destroyed this tire and tried to let it go, before we noticed that he destroyed it. And it was always it was just a bunch of excuses, and he's like, well, I like this was and I'm like, listen, been doing this a long time. I know where you made the mistake, and I know it didn't have to go this far. Just remember, just stop, just come get us. Just say, hey,
Yeah.
I'm in, I've got something that I don't know what to do, but no, it's they try and we see this with new kids all the time, and sometimes we really got to yell at them after a while. It's like, listen, just stop.
Yeah.
It's okay to admit that you don't know what you're doing. I've been there. Eric, my other technician's been there. It's like, I know when he says, hey, can you come give me a hand on this? I'm like, okay, I know that's a hard thing to ask another technician.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the same way. I'm like, Eric, can you come give me a hand on this? I'm having a difficult time getting this out or trying to figure this out. It's like, yeah, not a problem, man. We don't make fun of each other. It's just like, hey, it's sometimes you just need a second set of eyes. Sometimes you just need help, and it's okay to ask for help. It's just, we never want to be those people, because there are those shops, especially mechanic shops, that you're afraid to ask for help because they're just going to razz you on it. And that's like the old school way of the new kid. That's how he gets his nickname, of rim breaker, or whatever, just like, that's the old school way of doing it. You just make fun of somebody, constantly and then they don't ever want to ask for help again. And then they just, they just go through life that way, just never wanting to ask for help because they're afraid they'll be made fun of.
Well, it's interesting you say that because you're so dead on about that, and it's some of the best managers that I've had and I work with currently. It's if you create an environment where it's okay to make a mistake, like you said, just don't keep it's okay to make a mistake. Um, that's an environment where people will learn and grow.
Yeah.
My football coach will always say, if you're going to make a mistake, make an aggressive mistake. If you're on a field, it's a lot different. You just can't make a mistake in freaking in one of your bays and then just go tackle someone. But but if you're going to make a mistake, if there's if you have a responsibility and you screw it up, then make an aggressive mistake. Take someone out. Do something that's going to be disruptive. Do something. If you're if you're in a working environment, if you're going to make a mistake, it's okay. Just learn from it. Learn from your mistakes, because if you don't have a a situation where you have that type of environment, then what you're going to have is you're just going to have people that are afraid to ask for help. You're going to have people making mistakes and trying to freaking excuse it away, or they're going to be afraid to freaking move. They're going to be afraid to make decisions. and you want to empower your people to make decisions, so you're not always micromanaging, so you know that work's going to get done when you're not around and it's going to be done properly. If you don't create that environment, yeah, it's not you're not going to grow. It's not going to be healthy.
Yeah.
No,
100%.
you're absolutely right. It goes to men's mental health as well. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
you're
kind of old.
you're really good at that, Kevin.
I'm kind of old school on men's mental health, so I have a box deep down inside of me, and that's where all my feelings go. And 40, I have 48 years of feelings, and I feel like that box is not getting full. People are like, well, that box is going to explode one day. Nope. The box just, it grows bigger in another dimension. So I just keep shoving stuff deep down inside. Every now and then, Kevin freaks out, so, but yeah, Jessica calls me, and a lot of my friends call me a robot, because, I don't have feelings, just like, yeah, whatever, just something goes wrong. And it's like, yeah, whatever, it'll work out in the end. And it's gotten me through. It's always worked out in the end, always worked out in my favor. Always. Nothing has ever not worked out in my favor. So
keep filling that box, Kev. It's working for you.
I just keep filling that box, Kerr. Just keep filling it up.
It's gotta empty. I'm the opposite. Man, I
have a feeling, and that feeling is usually just hunger, so
it's nothing that a couple of nuggets and some Doritos won't freaking solve.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. I mean, I think I've done a better job over the years dealing with processing my issues. I think I get quiet and I think them through and I process them. I objectively freaking break them down, but I do have some freaking neuroticisms that freaking it's who I am. But if something's bothering me, I want to talk about it. I got to get it out, because for me, shoving in that box, it's like it will fill up and it will come out. It will come out. I mean, I think Jennifer would probably disagree with me, but there are probably some things that I do box up, like I compartmentalize some things, but I will open that box and let out freaking shit. Usually, a lot of times, it's when no one's around, but it has to come out. But I've tried to do a lot better with talking about my feelings, and I know Jennifer's the opposite. It's like, I talk to her about some things, and she's just like, hey, maybe I'll get a therapist. I'm like, no, I just want to talk to you about it. I don't get a therapist. If you want $10 or $20, I'll give you that, make you feel better. But I just want to talk to you about it, because that's really where I'm going to probably make some progress.
My mental health gets a workout daily. So yeah, I know, and Jessica does. She does a good job. She tries to get the feeling out of me, but like we'll have a discussion about something, and then I just listen 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 minutes, and then I get the what are you feeling right now? And then
she emotionally shames you. What the fuck?
Yeah, she say to them like, yeah, you're right. You're right about all that. You're 100%. So what do you want to do about it? Yeah, nothing. I'm happy. I'm happy with me. It's I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah.
I'll talk to Jennifer about something. I'll be like, blah, 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 blah. She'll be like, I think we should repaint the mantle.
Yeah.
Brown. And I'm like, the mantle has nothing to do with what I just talked about. She's like, well, I thought we were done. I'm like, no, we're far from done.
If Jessica was listening to this right now, I don't know how many times that I have changed the subject, and then she's like, we were talking about this, and I'll be like, I thought we were done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you got all that out. Just
I
talk
thought we
about
were
something
done.
else.
I thought we were moving to something else. What
Yeah.
part of was my sentence sounded done? I don't know. You just sound like you were done. You stopped talking. Well, yes, it
Yeah.
happens at the end of a sentence, and then when you wait for
Yeah.
a response, well, I'm
I,
kind of
I,
thinking about
I,
that mantle over there. I think you should make it
I
better
have,
brown.
I have said to Jessica 1,000 times, yeah, but you stop talking. So yeah, you stopped talking. She's like, that was a pause in the conversation. I go, oh, I thought you were just done.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, I get that one all the time. Yeah, so it's like,
Yeah.
hey, you know, I think we get new curtains. Like curtains?
Yeah.
The hell are you talking about? I thought I was talking about me and my feelings over here
Yeah.
about
Yeah. I
what's
thought we were
going
trying to,
on. I
yeah.
thought we were
Thought we were
done.
done with that. Yeah.
You
Thought
kind
we
of
were
like,
done with that.
you know, it's like George Costanza. You know, a conversation has to end on its own volition or whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh my God.
so but yeah, it was the same thing. So then I was like, okay, I guess we're just gonna paint the mantle then. I guess
Yeah.
that's how we deal with our feelings. We're just gonna paint things.
That's it. Just paint away the feelings, paint them away.
That's our
Wax on, wax off, paint on, paint off, paint on.
Yeah, that's our new approach. It's a new
Yeah.
approach. Yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I'll paint that.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
I just buy her something or take her out to her favorite food. You know, food's always good with Jessica.
That doesn't work with me. No, because I see right through it. I see right through it. I'm like, I love you and I appreciate that you bought me all these cigars and a bottle of bourbon, but I just wanted to talk to you. I mean, I'll smoke this cigar and drink that bourbon, but I still want to have a conversation. Like it did not work.
No, Jessica put my laundry away the other night, you know, and that was I was having a bad day, you know, it was just a rough day. I didn't want to talk about it, you know, and it was just you know, it's like I put all your laundry away. I'm like, all right, shove that stuff back in that box. I'm fine with that. I didn't have to put the laundry away. Fuck yeah. I got to talk about my feelings and I got my laundry put away. Double score.
Oh, you see, Jen puts my laundry when she folds my laundry and puts it away. It adds more anxiety to me.
Yeah, no, it was just my socks
I need things need to be folded a certain way and it needs to be put a certain way. If it's
no, she's learned that my uniforms get hung. Yeah, no, you want to freak me out? Hang my shirts the wrong way. Hang them with the buttons to the right. You know, undo all that nonsense.
Yeah.
So
this is how many fucks Jennifer gives about my folding technique and how I like my clothes.
Oh yeah, no, Jessica completely. She did put my socks in different order this time, but I'll accept it.
Yeah,
because I didn't put them away, so I'm fine with that.
I think over the years I've accepted the fact I'm like, you know, she's folding the laundry, she's putting it away. I really can't be that much of a dick, right? You know I have to fold them a certain way. I haven't bought years ago. I bought that plastic shirt folder. Like
I still have it, still use it every time.
And I was like to Jen and Joe, I'm like, hey guys, I got something really cool. Look at this. And they looked at it like, what? No, I'm not using that. I'm like, but it's really simple. But yeah, and you know what? That thing sat for about 2 years and I ended up selling it at a yard sale. Never used once. Yeah. Never used once.
I only put my shirts away 2 or 3 times a year. Yeah, I mean, it's literally like every quarter. Like I'll wash all my shirts and then I'll fold them in half, and then I just put them on my nightstand. I have like 35 shirts on there right now on my nightstand. Like when I need a shirt, I'll just dig through there and pull it out. Yeah, I only put my shirts away a couple times a year.
That drives me crazy. Yeah,
it drives me crazy too. Looking at it drives Jessica insane, you know. But yeah,
you're eventually looking at Jen's freaking drawers are like quarter open and half open, and like mine are all like freaking perfectly closed and everything.
Oh no, my ex-wife, my last wife, Beth, and she was like a manager at like a Victoria's Secret for years. Mm-hmm. So like the orderly and how things go and stacked, and you open up her drawers and you know everything is colored. It goes lights to darks and everything is perfect, and the bras are stacked in a row and everything is just it's like a retail store. You know,
I have my drawers like that. I just can't, like with Jennifer doing it and everything. I can't like I have all my black shirts my cigar shirts, my colored shirts, different,
Yeah.
stuff. I had my long sleeve shirts are here. And it just I can't keep that in order for long periods of time. It just does not work. But again, I'm the same when it comes to putting dishes away. Like I had the mugs stacked a certain way. And it's like I can tell when someone else puts the dishes away because it's like, why why would you put the freaking the juice glasses with the painted fruit in with the freaking clear glass Starbucks glasses? Like, why would you put and we always have mugs, and our mugs I have partners, so there's 2 mugs, 1 for Jen, 1 for me, coffee mugs. So I have them in order of partnership, and I'll open it up and I'll be like, Joe's always the biggest viol. He's gotten better. Joe's gotten better, but I've seen when he's come in and when he's not in a hurry and not caring, I can open up the freaking cabinets and be like, dude, green cup, green cup. Why am I seeing green cup, blue cup? Like, or green cup, yellow cup? Like, what? He's like, I don't understand. And I'll open up the freaking bowls and on dishes, and I'm like, son of a bitch. So yeah, I get a little weird about that.
Yeah, it was you're talking about dishes. It was funny when Jessica was away for a week up in Washington D.C. visiting Graham. Gabby took it upon herself, which I'm super proud of, to make sure every night before she went to bed, the sink was empty and everything was in the dishwasher, and the dishwasher was running before. And I'm like, that's awesome. She took that upon herself to do that, and I come out one night next. I don't snack at night anymore, but sometimes I just get a craving and my body needs like some sugar or some ice cream or something. So and a glass of milk. So I come out and to bring my bowl and my cup to the sink, and the dishwasher was running, and she was just like wiping down the counter, and she turns around and looks at me, and I'm standing there with a bowl and a cup, and she gives me a sigh that reminded me of her mom, and she just goes, and it's just like I went over to the sink and just hand washed it and put it in the little strainer there. And it's just, I'm like, oh, you're so your mom at that moment. And I'm like, oh my God, I've seen that disdain look in a woman's eye.
Disappointment.
Yeah, I know. And then the other night I come home, and this is 2 nights ago, and Jessica had the dishwasher open, and I'm emptying my lunch box, and and it's hot, and sometimes it's read the room. So I had a spoon and like a little round Tupperware thing, and I set in the sink, and she like looks over at the dishwasher. She's like, so I just picked up the bowl, the Tupperware, and threw it in the dishwasher with the lid on top of it. It bounced around like Plinko, and I just walked away. And it's like, it was at that moment. That moment could have went 2 ways. Kevin could have exploded if Jessica would have said something, but she did like, okay, I'm gonna let this one go. You worked all day. It's hot out there. You just got home, and it's just like,
reason why you threw it in the way you did.
Yeah, it was like, just tossed it in there and just walked away. It's like this is newsworthy right here. The dishwasher. This could have been national news, but it was not.
Yeah, Lord knows we would get in more fights if Jennifer would freaking actually respond or engage sometimes with the way I act.
Yeah, I
Luckily, she's a little bit more laid back and just kind of like, doesn't want to freaking have a fight or confrontation. And then, how, when you're like really cranky and it's like, and you're not getting any bites.
Yeah.
Like, motherfuck. Then you get more crankier and more mad. And then I know I just got to step away because now I know I'm just being cranky. I just got to go in here, take a few deep breaths, realize I'm the problem. It doesn't always work that way, but I've been getting better at realizing that, I'm cranky. I'm looking for someone to engage. No one's engaging me, and now I'm just I'm a boxer just looking for someone in the ring to take a swing at, and there's no one. So what am I going to do? I just got to take off my gloves and walk back to my freaking corner.
Yeah, way back in the day, Jessica used to get mad at me for not getting mad, and she's just like, just get mad, just yell, do something. I'm like, no, I'm good. And then she just, that would just it'd make her so much madder. I'm like, no, I'm good. Yeah, you're right. I was in the wrong on that. Sorry about that. And it's like, oh, that's not what I was looking for. It was like she was dinging that bell, coming out, swinging, and I'm like, yeah, my bad. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, sir.
Rope-a-dope, and they're getting pissed off.
Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah. It. I'll tell you what, man. It's definitely an interesting dynamic when those events happen, and it's like you come in hot, and then you realize that you've lost lift, and there's nothing but rocks below. Like, fuck. All right, I'm gonna have to freaking take this one for the team.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right. I feel better. This has been a long week. So I feel like this was my my therapy session this week for sure. We talked about
I definitely can chalk this down to therapy as well. But it's only Monday. You're saying it's been a long week, but for you, with how much you've been working,
oh god damn it, it is only Monday. It was thanks for that.
Sorry, man. This isn't Ryan. It's not Thursday. This is the Pup and
I know. Oh my god. Yeah. So speaking of this Thursday, I'll be on Cigar Coop. Invited me to come join his show this Thursday night. So I might chime in on that. I think there's a media panel going on, so I don't know anything about it. So got invited to do that. So yeah. It was,
you too, Coop, because Coop said he's gonna have me on the show. Yeah. I haven't heard from Coop. Fuck Ryan sideways in your Rocky Mountain Oyster show. You
notice there has not been a round 2 of that Jeopardy show.
Well, you know what? You can take your Jeopardy and your freaking Wheel of Fortune, Ryan, and spin it and go freaking do some power curls. And Coop, I'll give you one last chance. But, but yeah, Ryan's been on the show enough. But yeah, I that was all I could think of is I lost on Jeopardy.
That was I said that should be the outgoing theme. I lost on Jeopardy.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And it was one of my favorite Weird Al songs. I lost on, Jesus, and I don't even know like the real version. It was I'd only heard it like once or twice. I remember
Greg Kinn band.
What's the name of the song?
Our Loves in Jeopardy.
Okay, because I remember being at a mechanic at our store in Sarasota like 10 years ago, no more than that. And like a song comes on and I started singing and like the wrong lyrics. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Like this is the real version of that song.
Yep. Greg Kinn band. It was Our Loves in Jeopardy, and the video is just like typical 80s cheesy, freaking horrible. But that Jeopardy thing was like
Don Pardo, take it away. Well, here, Al. Here's what you didn't win. You didn't win the home version of our game. You brought shame across your family for years to come.
God, watching that Jeopardy on there, I was like, wow, that was comical. That was you, Risty-ish. Ryan. It was like, I don't know, man.
That was one of his most watched shows in a while. There's some interesting topics there at the end. So
are plane crashes on freaking videos, man. I mean, they're the most watched too, and freaking and unhoused fighting too is also watched as well. I mean, but that was just comical. That was you Risty-ish. I think at one point Ish just said something. I go, stop drinking all that wine, dude. You can't. I can't see anything. I'm like, well, stop drinking the wine, Ish. You're playing on your phone. Ryan's. He's the master of being able to have a great big orchestrated freaking setup that always seems to systematically fall apart. It's like, aren't you an IT guy?
Yeah.
It's on Jeopardy, and next thing you know, it's like half-ass Family Feud, game that we used to play where it was cardboard and would always fall over.
Yeah. I don't want to change the subject, but we got tail of the tape, our number one picks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just looked down and Jessica made me a little note on my laptop and I just saw it. So I completely forgot. Season 13 of KMA Talk Radio, tail of the tape, and this season was the top 10 inventions of your lifetime. John McTavish, who's now the permanent co-host. They've been going through co-host for all season, trying to find someone else. So John McTavish was announced as the fourth member of the KMA Talk Radio crew. He picked the World Wide Web. Abe DeBabna picked the personal computer. Cigar Coop also picked the personal computer. And Alex, the Goat Tavella, picked GLP-1 medications.
Ooh.
So, Kerr, what was your number one of the top 10 inventions of your lifetime?
I am in the same vein. This is why I'm giving Coop another chance to contact me, because I agree with Coop and Abe. It's the personal computer that for me, just, in my lifetime, watching the evolution of that, it's just been pretty impressive. And I think that's really the number one thing that's really changed a lot, because that could be, that's linked to, the handheld, the phones and everything else that are computers, the iPads, the everything. It's incredible.
Yeah. So for me, it was social media. In 2004, Facebook was launched. Social media in 2004, Facebook was launched. In 2006, YouTube was launched, and in 2006, Twitter was launched. So for me, it's social media. Nothing has given me more pleasure and more pain than social media. It has brought the world. It has brought the world together, and it has torn the world apart at the very same rate.
I can tell you I was an anti-Facebook person, and I was contacted by someone, and they said, "We're putting together our 20th high school reunion." And I go, "Okay." They go, "We have a Facebook page." I said, "I don't have a Facebook, profile." They said, "Well, create a profile so you can stick with us." And that's when I created my Facebook profile, which was 2009. 2008, 2009 was when I opened up when I did because everybody was talking about Facebook at the time. And I remember before that was MySpace. But that's when I joined, was 89, 99, 2000. Yeah, that's 20 years. And like you said, it's like the next thing I know, it's like friends from college who I haven't spoken to in freaking 15 years. I haven't seen, all of a sudden we're friends on Facebook, and it's like getting reunited, and it allowed you to kind of reconnect with these folks that our parents and our parents' parents, once they kind of parted ways with whatever it was, whether it was military, school, or what have you, you never even heard from them again.
And until someone says, "Hey, did you hear so and so died?"
Right. Yeah.
No, it's like, so, hey, Jess, I know they don't announce it. Did they say anything about the next season, tail of the tape? They kind of did, just hinted, nothing like where, Oh, okay. So, so we don't know what the next, oh, that's right. 4th. So they're not going to have a show. So, yeah. So, we'll make our own, Kevin. We'll make our own top 10 list. Yeah. So we'll definitely have to pick something. So
that was a good
all
show.
right. Yeah, great show. Thank you everybody for coming on, spending a couple hours which I now realize has only been Monday. And it's not been a Saturday night, and it's been a long week. So
not Thursday.
Not Thirsty Thursday. So all All right. I hope everybody has a safe 4th of July, and hopefully a Sunday morning you wake up with all the fingers and toes that you went to bed with Saturday night.
Yes.
And, if not, serves you right.
Drink plenty of water and stay out of the sun, man. That is the freaking. I remember being in Allegheny General Hospital working and in the emergency room, and they're trying to fight through to get people who gunshot wounds and motor vehicle accidents and people with heart attacks, and the freaking the ER room was filled with drunks with freaking heat stroke.
Yep, that's it. So, all right, everybody, we'll catch everybody next Monday night.
See ya.